Hello, everybody. Oh my gosh, I just went to click the live button, so I could start, and it totally kicked me out and kicked my mic off and my camera off. And I'm like, oh God, please don't. But it's fine. Yay. How are you guys today? Monty, it's so good to see you. Bianca, so good to see you, of course. Hope everybody's having a great day. We've missed you, Monty. We've all been asking about you. You can't disappear on us without notice now because you have a fan club. So everything is alleged. Everything we talk about is our opinion. We'll get that out of the way while people start to join in on the fun. It's Wednesday. Yay. It's almost Thursday. Yay. Just that much closer to Friday. Yay. Oh gosh. Okay. I have a couple of things that are kind of interesting today. I wanted to share that two of them I just randomly stumbled upon today, actually. I read an email from somebody whose name is Ridley on the email, but I don't know exactly who it connects to as far as a screen name on YouTube yet. Anyways, they told me to check out hello, Jethro. Excuse me. They told me to check out one of the videos. And while I was looking at one of the videos, I found something kind of interesting that I thought you guys might be interested in, but I need help on knowing what it might be. Hello, Wolf Angel. Good to see you. So yeah, we'll give it a few minutes, about a minute or two, maybe less, and then we'll go ahead and get started. Let me add some stuff to the screen here real quick. I literally just got off work about 3.5 seconds ago. So we will start with, we'll just start with this first because there's not much to it. It's just kind of interesting to me. What's so interesting to me about all of this is every time you read a report, a tip, anything that has to do with this case, they never follow up with it. And I was walking Bronx earlier today on my lunch, and I was sitting there thinking, why do we have so many pro burgers or just people that want the truth and don't believe that Brian did this or did this alone, and why there's so many on the opposite side? There's two total opposite sides to this. And I was trying to think, why is that? And I was like, I really landed on the conclusion basically that it's not like we have all this information, and with all the information we're given and all the reports we're given, they rule out all these other directions that it points to. And we're just blindly saying, I don't think Brian Koberger did it. No, it's because we have so many reports, so many tips, so much information that points in other directions, but they're never ruled out. They're never followed up on. They're never ruled out. So it's like, we're not just blindly saying Brian Koberger might not have done this. It's because all the other directions that it possibly could have gone in, or looked at these different people or scenarios, was never ruled out. Like, we have all these other options. Pro burger. Jethro. Hi, Fizzy. Hey, Texas. He did confess. Well, I don't really call that. I don't call pleading guilty is technically a confession, right? I mean, I pled guilty to a crime I didn't commit, but I didn't consider myself as confessing, really. But I totally get what you're saying logically. I get it. But yeah, I do think there's a lot of reasons people plead guilty. I kind of was expecting him to file an appeal, but I'm really concerned, what's going on with that. I really want to know, I just want to know what's in his head, really. Why did you plead guilty, and why have you not appealed yet, sir? Because this information is crazy. Right. Exactly, Fizzy. He answered yes to the questions, which I understand why people say that he, technically confessed or whatever. I just wish they would have made him, if he would have said yes, and here's what I did, or just given one iota of information that proves he was there and did it, we wouldn't be sitting here. I think a lot of us wouldn't be sitting here. Although it still doesn't change that the investigation was total crap, but I think a lot of us wouldn't be sitting here if he could give us one thing, but I don't know. He just hasn't, and I think that's why we're all still digging into the documents and information. Right, Fizzy. Hello, Miss Anonymous. Fizzy says people act like no one that is innocent has ever pled guilty, or that no other criminology student has not looked up serial killers. Right. Like, I would guarantee that my Google search history is 10 times worse than his. I guarantee it. Monty, you said you think he will. You think he will oh, I was thinking you were thinking he's going to plead, or he's going to confess and say like, where's the weapon, or but you think he's going to appeal. Got it. Got it. Got it. Texas. Hey, IROC. Good to see you. You know, I always Miss Anonymous says the death penalty being put on the table could have been a reason, especially where he saw prosecutors weren't playing fair. Honestly, I do think that the judge being totally against him and the defense and anything they asked for, and being so completely on the side of the prosecution, played a big role in that. I really do. It was so clear that they weren't even going to get a fair fight. So, yeah, I do think that's part of it. I do think I agree, Fizzy, that it's completely sus that they didn't make him say anything about it. And then their excuse for not doing that, the prosecution's excuse for not doing that was, oh, it would be, emotional for the family. We're saving the no, the families wanted it. Well, some of them did, at least. And if it's such a big deal to the families, have them say it in private then. You don't have to tell them if they don't want to know. Like, duh. Right, Fizzy. And then some people saying he would have just lied. All right, then he doesn't get the deal. It's called a deal for a freaking reason, right? You give us something, we'll give you something. Oh, interesting, Texas. Yes, thank you everybody for being here. I appreciate it. Exactly, Fizzy. They could have asked where the weapon was, period. If he knew that and it was really there, then okay, I get it. Case closed. Like, still doesn't mean there wasn't another person though. But I get, yeah, I think everybody thinks that's Brian was pro death penalty. Yep. So the fact that I guess maybe he's just not pro death penalty for himself, but I don't know. It's hard to know. It's hard to know because he also doesn't function like what people would consider normal, because of his autism and stuff. So it's hard to really tell like what he's thinking or what he's going to do or anything like that. Excuse me. Oh, and while I'm looking at Fizzy's name, I actually got an email. It was either yesterday or today. I can't remember, but I saw it today from Fizzy that showed Brian Koberger's car on somewhere around the 29th of November when he switched his plates over. And the picture came from Dateline, and it was a picture of Brian Koberger's car, and it did not have the bug guard on it. So I don't know if it was and he took it off, or if it wasn't and he put it on. But as of the 29th, there was a picture that did not have the bug guard on it. So you guys know I'm not just sitting here to give the information that paints Brian Koberger in a better light. I'm just here for the truth. So if it doesn't happen to go in Brian Koberger's favor, then it just doesn't. And I'll tell you guys that too, right? So just letting you know, there was a picture on the 29th of Brian Koberger's car, and it did not have that plastic bug guard thing on it. So just so we know that and have that cleared up. I'm going to go ahead and get started. I did want to mention, and I'm sure it's been mentioned on other channels because I heard it somewhere. I can't remember where though. It might have been Jules. I'm not sure. But it just hurt my heart when we look at the body cam video and we see Murphy come out of the house and Murphy turns around and looks back at everybody. It's almost saying like, "Where's my mom?" or "Aren't you guys happy to see me, that I'm okay?" Like, I know he's a dog, but you know what I mean? That just broke my heart because nobody said a word to him like, "Oh, Murphy's okay." Nothing. It broke my heart. I know that fur babies have emotions just like we do, and they get it. And that just hurt my heart to see when he came out, nobody said a word to him. Aw. Oh my gosh. So sad. That was so sad. Okay. So I'm going to go ahead and share this document just because it's just another thing they didn't follow up on and it irritated me when I read it. Sorry, I'm a little stuffy or snotty today. I feel like I'm getting a cold. It just hasn't come on fully yet. So I don't mean to be annoying into the mic. So this document says, this is document supplement 180. And it says on the beginning on December 6th, um, Sergeant Michael Van Leuven contacted hospitals and medical clinics that provided service to Moscow, Idaho, and the surrounding areas to inquire about any patients that were treated for knife wounds in the days following the homicides. I contacted the following providers in Lewiston, Idaho, and Clarkston, Washington area: St. Joseph, Tri-State, Clearwater, Valley Medical. All reported no treatment consistent with knife wounds. So nobody came into those facilities with any knife wounds after the homicide at all. He then says he contacted providers in Coeur d'Alene for any patients treated for possible knife wounds. And Kootenai County responded with a list of patients treated for possible knife wounds. He contacted other providers in Spokane, different hospitals and urgent cares, and they reported no treatment consistent with knife wounds. They contacted other providers in Pullman, Washington, like 4 or 5 of them. All of them reported no treatment consistent with knife wounds. He even includes in here, I found it odd that Kootenai Health provided a list of 77 patients that were treated for sharp object laceration and puncture wounds, while every other provider advised treating no patients with no consistent wounds. Just in Kootenai County, there were 77 people that came in being treated for lacerations, knife wounds, or puncture wounds. 77. And not one of those were followed up on. Not one of them. Isn't that crazy? It says, Texas Ranger asked, does it say how far it went back? It said beginning on December 6th, they contacted inquiring about any patients treated for knife wounds in the days following the homicide. So it would be the 13th, 14th, 15th. It doesn't say how far, but it's between the 13th and the 6th of January. Or I'm sorry, the 6th of December. So 2.5 weeks, maybe 3. 77, and not one of them. Hey, Pokey. Right, Lucy? Lucy says, sounds totally normal to me. Like, what? The normalcy, yeah, 77. The normalcy around here with these officers is not following up on anything. That's what they do. They get tips, they get leads, and they don't follow up. So you're trying to tell me they didn't get a name for any of these 77 people? No, I'm pretty sure they had the names of these people because they're law enforcement and they can. But holy crap, 77 is a lot of people for very specific type of wounds. Not one of them followed up on. Yeah, exactly, Donna. No report taken. Oh my God. That's crazy. I mean, even if Texas, yeah, there's probably hunters, right? Nothing further. There's probably hunters and stuff in there and, household. I got cut on opening a can. I'm sure there's some in there, but the fact that there was zero follow-up on any of these is wild. Just wild. All right, let me get rid of this guy and I'm going to share something else and I need your guys' help with this one. So I got an email this today or yesterday, this week at some point, and it was asking me to look at the body cam footage for something else. And I was looking at it and I found something other than what the email was asking me to look for. So let me see if I can share this because I thought this was strange. Okay. I don't think I can make this bigger, can I? There we go. Okay. So what we're going to look at here is, see this garbage, the dumpster and all the garbage piled up? I don't know if anybody else has said this. I don't think they have. I haven't seen anybody mention this yet. So look at when the body cam points to the dumpster. Look at the very, very top. It's kind of in the middle to the right a little bit in the dumpster. And you'll see a little.
Which one is your room? Oh, what room are you in?
Let me back up really quick and see if it shows a blur better when he's coming out. Okay.
Thanks, guys. Yeah,
Let me back up a little more. Sorry. Because I'm trying to figure out.
What would you say to somebody that hasn't tried therapy before?
Just ask yourself if what you're doing in your life right now.
Lordy.
Oh, yeah, thank you. No, you're good. Hang in there, brother. There.
In the main room. This is one of the. Pretty much they were in the main room. I heard them dancing and laughing. Kaylee went upstairs and she screamed because someone was in the room. She ran downstairs, and I kept calling her name and she wouldn't answer. And I saw the guy.
1 second, guys.
And I ran downstairs. We don't know what's going on.
Can you come here with me, please? Break fire 3170. Did you guys?
Do you see that? I stopped it perfectly. Look at the garbage. They keep blurring above the garbage. So when he walks out of the house, it's blurred completely at the very beginning, when he comes back out of the house and he's walking towards the street. They keep blurring this little area. Now, when there's a view from a different angle, they don't blur it. They're not blurring the garbage. It's something above and behind the garbage, I'm pretty sure, because there's different angles of this. And you can see the garbage clearly. I'm trying to figure out what they're blurring. The way I stopped it right here, it looks like they're blurring the garbage. Let me see if I can find a different angle.
people out here.
Oh, okay.
Nope.
They're not blurring it
Just come
there.
over here with me, please.
So it's not the garbage.
Okay. Just give me 1 second, please. I'm gonna get your name and information. Just 1 second. We'll get you a blanket and stuff, all right?
I thought that too, Fizzy. I'm like, there is no way she's walking around that house without shoes on. No way.
Thanks, guys. Yeah, that'd be good for now, and then maybe the big white blankets whenever you move on. Actually, you guys probably just hang on to these whenever. Is that name on the sign? No, I think that's it. Okay. We would like a blanket right now. It's temporary. Anybody like one for your feet to stand on? Okay. I'll let you. Thanks, man. Yeah, thanks. Yeah, if that email shows up, that'd be great too. Grab some blankets.
Yeah.
Yeah, 1 second, man. Let me just grab all your guys' info.
They're going to show it a few more times, I promise.
They're warmer. Okay. I know she was barefoot, so I was hoping to get something for her, but thank you very much. Thanks, boss.
See, where they blurred before, it's not blurred right there. And I'm wondering if the garbage is blocking something that they need to blur that's behind it. I was trying to get your guys' opinion to see if you think they're blurring the garbage or something else. And I'll tell you what I think it might be. It's not blurred there.
Okay, what's your last name? And your first name?
As soon as you can see over the garbage is where they blur it.
What's a good phone number to reach out? Okay, and is this your address?
Yes.
What's that address?
1122 King Road.
They're not
Is your driver's license
here.
right?
Yes, this is why I
damn it.
switched to injection-free weight loss.
I was eating healthy, working out every day.
Yes.
Okay. How much have you seen them?
No, I don't really know. I just saw my friend.
From this angle, they're not blurring it because it's covering whatever's behind it that they need to
And
blur.
that's always on post not to go in. That man right there. That I'll tell you right.
They did go in there.
Yeah, and that's when he told us he needed to call the cops.
Do you mind just waiting over there for me, please? Okay. Now I overheard you talking about last night.
Yeah.
Okay. You don't have to. The
Yes,
more we know right now, the
Texas
better.
by the black
Start this process.
bag of trash on
We'll
top.
probably be revisiting
They're
this
blurring
interview with you
whatever
very soon. Again, okay? So just
above
you're
it or
probably-
behind it. I'm trying to see. I know when he comes out of the house, you can see it really clear. Let me see if I can find a better one.
Hey, I'm gonna start IDing all them.
Yep. Blur. See it? It's a circle. I'm wondering, I'll tell you what my thoughts are, because as you see when you're close up to the dumpster and the garbage is tall enough to actually cover behind it. And hi, Christina, and whatever they're blurring. Hi, Steven. We kind of just got started. Don't worry. What I'm talking about right now, since we just had a couple of people join in, is I noticed earlier today when the cop was walking out of the house and you can see this dumpster in the background to the right. there's a blur mark on it. And from this angle, you can see like a little bit above the garbage bags that are in the dumpster and a little bit behind it. And it keeps blurring it. But as you get closer to the dumpster and you can't see the house behind it anymore, it doesn't blur it. My question is, I'll tell you what I think it might be is, do you guys maybe think there's a security camera on the house, on the back of the house, and they're blurring it so nobody knows that there is a camera facing 1122 King Road? That's what I'm questioning. I don't know what else they could be blurring right there, because they're not blurring the garbage itself. And from this angle, to me, it looks like they're blurring something that's actually on the house. So my question was, is it a security camera on there? And they feel the need to blur it so none of us know that there's a camera facing 1122. I was curious what your guys' thoughts are on why they would need to blur this. And then see, the closer he gets and the angle makes the garbage cover the house, it's not blurred anymore. And then we see, we kind of got a view right there. Let's see if I can get that view.
It's a
Sorry, we're kind of doing a little live dig right here to see what this is that they're blurring up. I know it's right, Ed. It's possible that it is a camera. I'm trying to see if this view will catch whatever's behind the garbage without it being blurred. But I don't know if I can stop it in time.
oh, thank you.
No, you're good.
Hang in there, brother. Okay.
Oh, it's too far. I can't tell. I don't really see anything on there. Unless it's at a different angle and I can't see it. And the garbage is, covering it up.
Kaylee went upstairs and she screamed because someone's in the room and she ran downstairs.
But yeah, that was my thought. I'm trying to figure out why there's a blur right there. As they get closer to the garbage, you can't see whatever's behind it, so they don't blur it. But anytime you can see that part of the house behind that garbage, it's blurred, and it's blurred in a little circle. So I don't know what it could be. Yeah, oh, Jules did, Fizzy? Okay, good. Also, Fizzy helped me with sending me some information either yesterday or today. And just so you guys know, I FOIA'd for the water usage on this house. I FOIA'd it for I did one for the entire month and I did one for just that week. So we can see, compare and contrast. Is just FOIAing getting a FOIA for that day isn't going to be helpful, because we need to know what their, normal usage would look like. So I did FOIA for the water usage. Now, it does say, the information that Fizzy gave me, it does say that more than likely it'll be denied, but we can try. All we can do is try. And now that they're unsealing documents and stuff, it might be easier to get some information like that. Doing a FOIA when everything was sealed, I'm sure they won't, but it might be possible now. So I did FOIA for the water usage. I want to know how much water was being run previous to this and this day. That's what I want to know, if stuff is being washed and cleaned, y'all. That is what I want to know. Okay. Oh, okay. My question is, so who was it? Black Sox sent me an email as well. And oh wow, Lucy. Okay, so Lucy, you think that they might be blurring, like Law and Crime might be blurring it rather than the officers blurring something. Okay. I mean, that could make sense. It's just weird why they would be blurring behind the garbage when nothing's there, but basically siding or part of the roof or whatever. Right. No kidding. No search warrant for the freaking garbage, but let's redact it. So I'm going to play this. And I think it's strange that doo-doo, doo-doo-doo-doo. Okay. So I think it's strange. I'll just play a little bit of it. And I believe I got this one from Outcast channel, and I don't know if he talks in it right here or not, but I'm going to play a little bit. I'm going to start right here at 424. And what we hear in the 425 mark is what sounds like a door shutting. And I'm not sure if it's a house door or a car door, but it sounds like a door is shutting. The problem is in this moment, from 422 to 430, basically, is when Dylan and Bethany are texting back and forth. They're calling each other, and Dylan is trying to call the other roommates. Hello, Trade with Journal. Welcome, welcome. So this is the time frame that Dylan is, doing her texting with Bethany and trying to call their roommates. And then after this is when she sees the intruder. She says that's the time frame that she gives, right? And I put that in a pre-recorded video that Dylan says after she sends all those text messages to her friends and roommates and trying to figure out what's going on. After that is when she sees, thank you, Bianca. Yay. We have a new member. After that is when Dylan says she sees the intruder. What I find interesting in this video is dogs have different barks, and you will hear Murphy barking like trying to get his owner's attention. And it's like separated type barks, like roof, 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 roof. And then at the exact time that Dylan says she saw the intruder, which was after 427, is when you hear Murphy's bark change. And it's really like staccato, quick, woof, 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 those types of barks. Like I'm looking at somebody I don't like type of bark. And I find that interesting because at that time as well, at about 4:30-ish, Murphy is doing those type of barks. He just starts doing them at like 4:27 to 4:30 is when he's doing that type of bark. Like he's looking at the intruder then. That is also the time that Dylan goes down to Bethany's room. Why in the heck would Dylan run down to Bethany's room immediately after she sees an intruder in her house, but also when Murphy is barking the type of bark that is trying to alert somebody that he sees something right then in that moment that is danger? Why would she choose to run down then unless she didn't, right? If you notice, those barks are a little bit separated. Now, in the 425 mark, we're going to hear a door shut. Now, I don't know if it's a car door or a house door, but that's what's coming next. Yes, exactly, Miss Anonymous. The white car left at 4:20. So Dylan stating that she saw the perpetrator after she called the roommates, which was between 4:22 and 4:27. That means the white car can't belong to the perpetrator that she saw because she didn't see the perpetrator in her house until after 4:22, between 4:22 and 4:27. So the white car can't be the perpetrator. If the white car's speeding away and the perpetrator's still in the house, then according to Dylan, it's not possible. So these barks right here are Murphy. They're a little bit separated, and you'll notice the change.
We are not a
Good
traditional
Lord.
cafe.
Come
We
on,
are
we need
completely
Murphy
unconventional.
barks.
And my Wix website really has to capture the same magic.
Do you hear that change in that bark? My dog does the same thing, and that's why I noticed it, because my dog will he's not really a barker, but if he's, let's say we're in the car and he sees, something that he doesn't like, but it's further away, he'll do those separated barks. Roof, 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 roof. But if somebody is walking up to my dog, and I'm not saying they're the same dog, and dogs behave differently, I get that. But how dogs alert for danger are pretty much the same. When somebody starts getting close to my dog, or my dog sees somebody that is starting to walk towards my front door, my dog will do those exact same bark that Murphy is doing now. Those staccato, close together, woo, 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 those barks. That's now what it just changed into. He's seeing somebody right there, guys. Like, there's no question in my mind about that. And to me, it sounds a little echoey, like he's inside. Now, remember, this is 4:27. So right here is when Dylan she just got done, I think, calling the roommates, or that maybe stops at 4:30 exactly. But she's texting back and forth with Bethany here. And this is when Bethany tells her to come down. Now, if she lived with this dog for at least 3 months or about 3 months, unless, I know sometimes Kaylee had him and Jack had him and stuff, but when you have a dog around, when a dog is alerting to danger. I mean, it doesn't take a freaking scientist. There's no way that Dylan sees somebody in her house and then Murphy's still barking like this. Nobody's going to run out of the room to go somewhere else until that dog stops barking, until or at least think that danger has left. That's why, to me, this all seems like a lie. There's no way Dylan's going to unlock her door with Murphy barking like that, because that is a different bark than, hey, I want to go outside, or hey, play with me. That's alerting for danger for sure. Do you guys hear the echo change as well? Like he's in a different room now? The echo is way more echoey here. I can't, Vidrios. Vidrios says they were clearly dancing. Oh my gosh. Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. And here comes the bumbling truck. This is right when Bethany says, "Come down to my room." Okay, I just heard another dog bark. So if anybody says this isn't Murphy and could be another neighbor's dog, I just heard another dog bark, and it's way in the distance. It's not close enough. It's completely different than Murphy's bark. Thank you, Monty. I appreciate that so much. We are all the leaders. Thank you so much, Monty. That is a
style
echo
and substance. In the
Oh, that one's it. Let me go to because oops. Let me go to hold on. I'm gonna go to the other one. It stops right there though, doesn't it? It stops at 4:30, right? And then they don't have any more video on it. How convenient, right? How convenient. That right when Murphy starts doing this freak out bark and then a car pulls up, then we hear a door shut, whether it's a house door or a car door, I don't know. It's right when Bethany tells Dylan to come downstairs. Murphy's barking like crazy. And then no more video. It just cuts off. Like they're obviously hiding what happened after that. Obviously. Let me see if I can find it. I'm gonna do. I really don't want to, but I'll play Gray Hughes's. Whoop, I'm gonna just skip it all. Where was the door? Didn't we hear a door? I'm gonna listen for a door real quick. Sorry, hold on. Sorry, I didn't share it. Hold on. Hold on, hold on. Okay. Was that the door? Oh, thank you, Bianca. Thank you so much, Bianca. Look, now Bunny Murphy is one. Yay! Oh, thank you, Fred. Thank you so much, Fred. I just want to listen through to 4:30 one more time. Am I mistaken in saying that this video only goes to 4:30, right? Or is that right? Thank you, Monty. That's it. So it stops basically at 4:30. The part that's interesting to me is that time frame is when Dylan is doing all the texting, trying to, reach out to her roommates. Um, that car pulls up. You can hear it still grumbling in the background. And after that car pulls up, Murphy starts doing that "Rah, rah, 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 rah," type of bark that I see something in front of my face that I don't like. There's danger. I need to let somebody know. His echo changes a little bit. So he might be in a different room or going room to room or something. Like, then right then is when Dylan supposedly goes down to Bethany's room. There is no way anybody's running down to Bethany's room or coming out of their locked door, from their own bedroom in that moment when you just saw somebody and Murphy's barking like that. Anybody would at least wait till Murphy stops barking, to think that maybe the danger has passed. I don't know. I just find that all very strange. I feel like I hear other stuff in there and I want to time some stuff out, but I just actually saw this a couple hours ago, excuse me, while I was working. So I just wanted to share it and see what you guys think. I'm also curious what you guys might think about the blurred out part of the garbage too. What did I miss over here? Yes. So we can play that. We'll play the docket decoder video that came out today. The thing that he played is actually, it's not new. I heard it before, but it is interesting. So we can play it. I do find it interesting and I've never played it over here. So we'll play it. Let's see. Plus I like docket decoders. So we'll stop. I should be in my history. Let me see if I can find it. Here it is. So this is docket decoder.
If you enjoy our content, please help us out by hitting that like button or leaving your comments for us. And don't forget to subscribe to stay up to date with the latest court filings. One of the more fascinating parts of following the Idaho 4 case has been some of the voices on the edges. People outside of law enforcement, outside of official court filings, who have stepped forward with information. I'm not talking about like the perfectly timed leaks from anonymous sources in the mainstream media.
Linnea, I FOIA'd for the water records today, actually. I can send you the information and you can do it too if you want it for yourself, but I can definitely send it to you. But I did ask for it today. I sent over 2 different FOIAs for it. So just waiting to see, but I can, if you want to put your email in the chat or you can click on any one of my videos and in the description, it'll have my email. You can send me an email so I can have your email and I can get it to you if you want to do it as well. Interesting, Lucy. Do you want me to do that? I can do that. Thank you, Bianca. I can do that. I'll do that today, Lucy. You hear that woo 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 woo. There's somebody trying to walk up to my front door, and that's why Bronx is barking. Otherwise, he doesn't usually bark. But I can do that, Lucy, if you want me to. I will definitely share it if I get anything back. I'll do it after the live today. But this is Docket Decoder, and he played a video from now nobody knows if this has been vetted or not. Nobody knows if this guy is actually Dylan's friend or not. But I can't remember when this video came out, but I heard it a while ago. He reposted it, and we can definitely listen to it because it is interesting. It is.
But rather individuals who claimed some connection to the case or to the people involved. They rarely revealed their full identity, but often gave enough detail about how they were connected and where their information came from to spark attention. Some of the better known examples would include WSU mom Kim and Dave, the University of Idaho student, who said that word of the murders was spreading in large group texts and chats, particularly in Greek life circles, hours before the 911 call was made. If true, that kind of information would have had major implications for the investigation and the case against Brian Kohberger. But at the time, it was nearly impossible to verify, so most of us would just file it away under the wait and see category. Now, with so much more official information coming out, including body cam footage from the responding officers and details about the roommates, the friends who gathered, and the 911 call, I think it's worth revisiting some of those early voices and weighing their claims against what we know now. The video I'm sharing here comes from someone who said he was close to Dylan Mortenson's inner circle.
Actually, I think it's Sid. Yeah, Sid made a good point, actually, that I've thought for a while, is the fact that Murphy is a golden doodle. They're not a guard dog. So to even hear Murphy bark, the kind of bark he's barking, which is, I see danger right now. Like, I'm trying to alert somebody. There is serious danger, you guys. Makes me think even more that when he turns into that real rapid fire bark, that he's seeing somebody in his house he doesn't know that's doing something he doesn't like. Because they're not guard dogs.
More specifically, his girlfriend was, but he claimed he also spent significant time with Dylan in the days following the murders, or as he called it, the incident. His video description is striking. He says the details he's sharing were cleared by Dylan herself for release, while also noting that there were 4 shocking details the prosecutor specifically instructed could not be shared. This video was uploaded on January 13th, 2023.
So this came out January 13th, 2023, supposedly a friend from Dylan, and it's very interesting what he had to say.
Right around the time that Brian Kohberger was arrested, and we first saw the probable cause affidavit. With that timing and everything we've learned since, I think it's important to look back and ask, how does what he says line up with what we know now? And that's what we're going to dig into here.
Okay, so before we dive into what I'm referring to about the feds screwing or attempting to screw Dylan, and give you a brief background as to who I am. So my girlfriend is in Dylan's inner circle. And by inner circle, I mean inner circle. Like, they've hung out almost every day.
Just a reminder, nobody knows if he's telling the truth or not. So just keep that in the back of your mind too. Don't think it's been vetted. You did see it about a year ago, Christina. It came out January 13th, 2023. So some of us have heard this before. Some haven't. This is new to some people, which is great to share, some things that we do know. So I love having everybody have the biggest picture they can of, have all the information in their brain. So if we can share something that might not have been seen by some of the people that we have here, then let's share it. Get everybody the most information we can, right?
Since the incident occurred, and I've seen her a plethora of times as well. So you're going to notice I'm not going to use words like allegedly, supposedly, because all of this is actual firsthand factual information. Where should I start?
The same thing, Fizzy.
To clear things up. First of all, there's a lot of misconception about Dylan suffering from PTSD or trauma or any of that. None of that is accurate. In fact, when we try to console Dylan after the incident, she's the one that was laughing at me and my girlfriend and I, talking about we're so weird, and we tried to give her a hug and stuff. So she's still the same old Dylan. She's had a rough life growing up. She's been through a lot. She doesn't have PTSD and didn't suffer any trauma. The incident that night, and what I'm referring to with the feds actually put a lot of words into her mouth that she didn't say herself first. So there was a lot of leading statements that they were insinuating to her. And she was really scared the first few days, obviously, after the incident occurred. So, like, the reason none of it makes sense in the affidavit is because it didn't really happen that way. So she never stood there shocked when she saw the individual. She was just standing in a doorway, like anybody who opens the door. It was just, she opened the door and yelled at Ethan and Xana, and who she thought was their friend. She yelled at them to be quiet. That's what was going on with that situation.
Did anybody hear back in the day that one of these roommates, either Dylan or Bethany, moved just up the street after this crime happened, like immediately following this crime? Did anybody else hear that? Because I thought I remember hearing it. I just don't remember where I heard it from, and I wasn't sure if it was true or not. Does anybody know if that's true?
And she just went back into the room. She locked the door like usual and, went to sleep. Everything was quiet after she yelled at them, so she didn't think anything of it. For everyone who's creating these random stories about her being shocked or traumatized, she didn't realize anything was going on. And it might sound crazy, it might sound dumb, but she really had no clue anything was going on. They're being a little loud, so she yelled at them to be quiet. And that's it. She locked her door and she just went back to her room. And she didn't want to be nosy or anything. So, she was kind of new to that house, so she didn't want to be nosy and, get all up in their business, especially at, in the middle of the night or early morning. So it's as simple as that. Everyone trying to blow that whole situation into something that's not. So yeah, that's that. And she didn't actually get a real good look at Brian. At the time, she assumed it was one of Xana and Ethan's friend who was just getting ready to leave, who was walking out. She didn't get that good of a look. The Fed.
Why would she think it was one of Xana and Ethan's friends if she doesn't even know when Xana and Ethan got there? She's never said a word about when Xana and Ethan got there. So why would she think it would be one of her roommate's friends coming in when her roommate's not even there? That doesn't make sense.
Were really aggressive with Dylan the first few days, which is why she hired the attorney to begin with, because of the treatment of her during the interview, more like an interrogation, to be honest. So that's why she got an attorney, because the way they were talking to her and, they didn't really understand or believe why she's the only one alive when you kind of skip rooms to get to the other two rooms.
Well, that's not true either, because they never interrogated her or questioned her. They took everything she said as fact and truth and let her go. And if that was a guy, it would be the exact opposite. Just like, let's say Bethany's the only female, and let's say Dylan's actually a guy. And Dylan as a male, gives this story that she gave, and then they find a bloody jacket and a bloody blanket in his room. Do you think he wouldn't be arrested? He would so be arrested. So that doesn't even make sense.
So she didn't really like the feel of how the interrogators or the feds were talking to her. And within like a few days after the incident, they approached her with pictures of Brian. I was like, is this the guy? Do you think this is the guy? This is definitely him, right? And they were almost leading her to believe this has to be the person. And she wasn't really sure, but they kind of put those words in her mouth. It's almost like, they were insinuating it so much to where she was like, yeah, I think, yeah, no, it's definitely him.
But they did do that. We've heard it. We heard it on the body cam when she says, he could have been a little bit higher or a little bit lower than me. Like, why didn't you just say taller or shorter? Number one, but that's beside the point. She says he could be a little bit higher or a little bit lower than me. I'm not sure which one. I couldn't really tell. And then the cop says, so like 6 foot. And she's like, yeah. And then never again does she say that he could be taller or shorter. So they were very leading, which they should never have done. So that part I think is true. I mean, that's where I think the bushy eyebrows came from too.
And that's when they just kind of like ran with it. So what you see in the affidavit is it didn't play out that way. So Dylan's attorney and her, and actually all of us, are pretty upset at how they threw her under the bus in the affidavit. When's the last time you've seen a witness or like a snitch in a case, their actual names being mentioned? You know, the fact that they didn't redact it. We all think that the feds and prosecutors threw her name in there purposely to apply more pressure, because Dylan was really wishy-washy during the interrogation. And with them, you know, putting these words, you know, set in stone on paper, it kind of puts a lot of pressure on her now, because everyone views her as like some star witness, the star of the case. So that's what we all believe, that she kind of is getting screwed over by, you know, the feds and the prosecutor, you know, because now she has to testify and she has to say kind of what, you know, what words they put in her mouth instead of what she actually believed, you know, and what she actually knows happened, you know, like with her own words, not words that were like shoved in her mouth, you know. So yeah, her attorney is pretty upset. She's pretty upset, but at the same time, she knows that, you know, she can be a huge help in this case. So it's not like she's identifying somebody she didn't see. It just didn't play out necessarily like, oh, bushy eyebrows. She saw bushy eyebrows, you know, and was able to 100% identify him, you know. It's just initially when, you know, detectives and feds came in and took over the scene had been contaminated so badly by the local authorities. When they first came, first responders, they stomped all over the place, contaminated the scene. You know, all the, you know, other people that were at the house.
You just did that, Moto?
As a therapist myself, I know how important it is to be able to have someone that you can talk to about your problems, to bounce ideas off of, process.
Hold on, let me pause this. Moto says this completely negates the portion where she cuddled with Bethany for the next 8 cuddled. Oh my God, that's so funny. Cuddled with Bethany for the next 8 hours. Here's a question. How did her jacket get blood on it if it was in her room? Why wouldn't she wear it outside that morning while it was freezing out? Oh, good point. You have a whole jacket in your room and you go outside freezing cold with no jacket on. Oh, and then suddenly when the police give it back to her, both her and her mom say, we don't recognize this jacket. Yeah, I bet you don't want to recognize that jacket. You know, I can understand a blanket having maybe cycle red fluid on it from a female being on their cycle, but you can't say that about a jacket. So how did 2 things that were in your room get red fluid on both of them? And then the one thing that you can't just explain away as maybe, you know, menstrual blood or whatever, the jacket, you claim to have never seen it before. Stop it. It was in your room. It doesn't matter if you saw it or not. Or if you knew you had it in the room or not. It was in your room. They took it from your room and there was blood on it along with your blanket. So thank you so much, Moto. And very good question and observation that she had a jacket right there and she didn't put that on to go outside, or shoes. Why? Because maybe her shoes were the ones that created the footprint in the blood while cleaning up? I don't know. Goodness.
They were, you know, walking up and down the steps, you know, to make sure what they're seeing is what they're really seeing. So, I mean, this is a scene that was really badly contaminated. So to equal the playing field, the feds feel like, you know, having a star witness is, you know, is
They never followed up on it, Fizzy. Imagine that. No more notes taken. No report taken. They tested the blood and they never followed up on it. Just like they never followed up on the 77 people that had sharp force injuries that came into Kootenai County's hospital between the 13th and December 6th that they never followed up on either. 77. Ridiculous.
critical here. But just the way she was being interrogated initially was it's kind of crazy. It's not what you guys think. They weren't being all sensitive and gentle to her. They were really accusatory and kind of, pressured, put the press on her. Thought that she might have something to do with it because it just didn't make sense to them why she's the only one alive. And on top of that, didn't see anything or really hear anything. She didn't want to be nosy, didn't want to, get up in her roommate's business. She told him to be quiet. The last thing that crossed their mind was people are getting slaughtered next door and upstairs, So I think that's pretty much everything I've covered. So yeah, just to go over the whole, suffering trauma. She was shocked that she saw him walk past her. Like, it's not as dramatic as you guys think. He was already halfway towards the kitchen and walking out. And for all of y'all that are scratching your heads, yes, police.
I mean, I think that most people at some point have gotten their own red fluid on their sheets, on their pillowcase, on their blanket. Girls, especially shaving, get maybe some razor burn in it. You cut yourself with a razor on accident. You get in your bed. You don't know. I understand that. But the jacket, the jacket alone, but then the jacket with also the blanket, because we don't know whose red fluid it was. It could be hers. We don't know. But the two together makes it a little bit more, if it was just the blanket, I would be like, people get blood on their blankets all the time. We don't know how much it was and stuff like that. But the jacket, that's odd. That's odd for her to then say, I don't know whose jacket that is. Well, it doesn't matter. It came from your room and it had blood on it. But then the fact that the officers never went ahead and tested anything, nothing, no follow through with anything. That's the problem.
Do lie. They've kind of thrown everybody around the ringer through this whole case from the very start. And you have to think about it. Why would a survivor, a victim, have to hire an attorney? Obviously, they were mistreating her pretty badly as they're interrogating her, especially now throwing her name in the affidavit like that. That's all because they're pretty upset she hired an attorney to begin with. And because they want to put a lot of pressure on her from the public for her to be the star witness. But aside from that, she's doing good. She's the same old Dylan.
Well, I think, Sid, this was a great suggestion because some people haven't heard this and we don't know. I still don't know if it's true or not. I know some people said it was debunked, so it very well could have been debunked, but I just found it interesting too that he's like, she doesn't have PTSD. She doesn't have this and that and everything else. And supposedly is a friend of hers. Well, then why do you need $107,000 3 years later? For me, it's not the fact that it's $107,000 or that she's asking for money. It's the fact that it's 3 years later. Wouldn't you need that immediately following the crime? Because now you don't have a house to go to that you lived in, stuff like that. Like, that would have made more sense to me. Just like this news article of the professor and his drinking buddy at the bar talking all this crap about Brian Koberger. Why didn't that come out when Brian Koberger got arrested? It's hard for me to believe things that then come out 3 years later when it's been known the entire time, supposedly. Like, stop. Thank you, Monty. Check out the Birdie video today about how Dylan was seen kicking Murphy when Kaylee wasn't around. I did see that actually, Monty. Wait, was it a video or... I believe it might have been like an email or a text message or something. And one of the friends of, now we don't know if this is true either yet. I don't think it's been vetted yet, but it was said that one of Dylan's friends or somebody that went to school there that hung out in the same places as Dylan said that she heard Dylan in a bar literally laughing about the way Kaylee's face looked after the homicide, laughing about it. And it was said that Dylan hated Murphy so much that she would kick him when Kaylee wasn't around and just torture, was just so mean to Murphy. I don't care whose animal it is. If I went through that situation and I didn't know if the dog was okay, I didn't know if my roommates were okay. When they finally brought Murphy out and I saw he was okay, I'd be like, oh my God, Murphy's okay. Oh my God, hi, baby. I know not everybody's like me either, but not one person did that. Not one. I find that strange. Yeah, me too, Fizzy. And yeah, oh, that's right. That's right. You're right. And then she laughed about how she heard Kaylee begging for her life. That's awful if that's true. Again, we don't know if that's absolutely true, but that's awful. So I was asking earlier if anybody had heard that one of the roommates moved just a couple houses down immediately after the crime. Because I heard that. I heard that a long, long, long time ago. I don't know if it's true or not. And I don't know if anybody else has heard that. But my question was, if that was true, why would you feel safe moving up the street if you are one of the lone survivors? And Brian Koberger hadn't been arrested yet. So we didn't technically know at that point who the perpetrator was. Why would you feel safe moving up the street? And I can tell you it wasn't Bethany because she moved back to Vegas. The next day she was in Vegas with her parents. So it couldn't have been her moving up the street. I just don't know if anybody else heard that or not, because I did, and I thought it was strange. Yeah, Amanda, that could very well be not true. I was just curious because I did hear that, and I didn't know if it was true. And yeah, Bethany, I definitely know, and I thought Dylan did as well, so I was just seeing if anybody knew if that was true or not. I thought Bethany went home, or Dylan went home as well. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Okay, she went to Boise. Okay, yeah. I did hear that. It was so long ago, I don't even remember where I heard that. Oh, what did you say about Bethany, Steven? Let me see. Steven, let me find it. No, I don't see it. I think I'm too far up. Right, Lucy, Brian Koberger suddenly the reason that Snyder's drunk all the time. Yeah, Steven, what did you say? I didn't see it. Oh, Bethany called her dad to get an attorney. That's Hi, Ren. That could be. That could honestly be. When Bethany texts Dylan, so at the time, right, I just played this whole Murphy video where he's barking and then you see the rumbling SUV pull through. And it's at the time that Dylan is texting the roommates like, hey, what's going on? What's that noise type of text messages. And then Murphy's freaking out. And then we see that car pull up. And then at 4:30, Bethany says, come down here. You won't be alone. That's when, immediately after that, Bethany gets on Instagram. So I'm really confused because if you just heard like a loud noise and Dylan just came down there and told you she just saw somebody and you're texting Dylan about seeing somebody in your house with a mask and then you decide to get on Instagram and Murphy's freaking out, barking, like what is going on in that house? What is going on with these two? Yeah, supposedly she called her dad about her tooth hurting, but it's very possible she called for a lawyer. It's very possible. I want to know that too. Let me put this up here. Why did Bethany ask if she could go home for the holidays? She asked, the very first thing she said to those officers was, is it okay if I go home for Thanksgiving still? What do you know, girl? What do you know? Because why in your brain would you think you couldn't? Are you involved in something? Interesting. Hello, Top. Good to see you. I am too. I have been for a while, Steven. I'm sure you have too. I don't understand like the people that support them. I mean, let's just say the only thing that happened was Dylan saw Xana on the floor, ran down to Bethany's room and stayed there and never got on her phone. You still waited 8 hours when you thought your friend was unconscious on the floor from drinking too much. You are a crap friend. let's say at the very least or at the very most, that's what happened. It doesn't matter either way. You thought your friend was unconscious and you run by, you see her, you think she's unconscious, you go to your other roommate's room and you get on the phone and start looking at jobs and saving numbers and taking pictures and then you fall asleep for 30 minutes or whatever it was. And you're letting your friend be unconscious on the floor? Stop it. What a horrible friend. Somebody told me to look at the body cam again, in which I forgot. Sorry, buddy. In which I forgot to, but somebody says it might look like Hunter Chapin something. Hunter Johnson hands over something to Hunter Chapin when he walks up. I haven't looked yet, but I heard that, and I don't know if it's true or not. So I don't know if any of you know about it. That's a good theory, Pumpkin. Pumpkin says one second. Let me open this door for Bronx real quick. And don't make fun of the sweatpants I have on. I work from home. Okay. Sorry, guys. Pumpkin says, my theory on why DM was barefoot is because she wanted to evoke pity for herself. There's no other reason. I think everything, I agree. I think everything her and Bethany said was to make themselves look like little angels, like, feel sorry for me. You like the sweatpants? Isn't that hilarious? I'm like, I had 3 really big meetings today at work, and I'm like, let me put on a fancy looking shirt, like I'm all dressed up, but I actually have sweatpants on. That's so funny. Yes, Sherry. Yep. Aside from everything, aside from the, red rums, the after part is that somebody cleaned up, period. Somebody cleaned up. And we know that because there wouldn't be a latent footprint found the next day or 2 days later on the second go around of processing the crime scene. Why was that print not visible? Why did they have to dig for it? And who's walking around? Who was it? Was it you, Lucy, who saw the who got the picture of Hunter's flip-flops on? It might have been you, Lucy. I saw a picture either yesterday or today, and Hunter had on white flip-flops, right? But they could have been Van flip-flops. They had the diamond pattern on the bottom. And if it was his footprint, because I know in the document it says that it's the same size, the footprint is the same size as Brian Koberger's shoe. Which, if it was Hunter's footprint, that might make sense. That might be the same shoe print. I can't believe that, Sid. I cannot believe they said that. Yes, if you're not following Lucy Morningstar, Bianca just posted her channel. Go over there and like, subscribe, watch, listen, and love. Wait, what did IROC say? Oh my gosh. IROC says, that's actually really funny. IROC says, I called 911 when I heard someone in my house. Turned out it was wallpaper peeling off my wall and sounded like someone walking. I felt so dumb. But the point of that is that that's what normal people do. Especially if you think you hear something in your house and then it turns out to be a human being with a mask on dressed in black. And then you hear somebody's upstairs, somebody's upstairs because you said you just heard Kaylee scream when she went upstairs and said somebody's here. And then Kaylee runs back downstairs, but then you hear somebody else on the second floor talking to Kaylee saying, it's okay, I'm going to help you. So you should have thought, dang, is there 2 people in here? Like, what is going on? It was a toasty warm 28 degrees in their house that night. What? I don't know. This whole case has taken up like 3 years of my life. I'm very interested in. So we all know eventually everything's going to be unsealed. Eventually we're going to figure this case out and we're not going to have much to talk about this case, talk on this case anymore. Eventually, right? Probably years from now, but eventually. And eventually there'll be another case that we dig into, right? I'm just so curious how this case will look when we take our minds off of it and go to a different case later in the future, and then maybe come back to this case and we'll figure out something else that we totally missed the first go around, the first 3 years. You know what I'm saying? Like, we'll start digging into another case and then we'll be like, wait, I wonder if that happened in the first case, in the IDAHO4 case. Let me go back and look. Oh my gosh, I can't believe they didn't look into that type of thing. I think it's interesting too that both parties don't want some of these documents unsealed. They say, yes, I want to hear a little bit of irony. Yes, I do. Is Tommy Jude in here? Once Upon a Crime Time. You guys, if you're not following or tuning into Once Upon a Crime Time with Tommy Jude, head on over there when you get a chance and check him out. We love Tommy over here. I love it. It's just normal freaking people talking about this case and trying to get the truth. That's it. It's what you get over here is what you get at Tommy Jude, just probably nicer to look at over there. Probably easier to listen to. Tommy Jude probably explains things better than I do because I get so ADD. But yeah, we love Tommy Jude. We love Once Upon a Crime Time over here. Hello, James. Sponsored by a VP. That's crazy. Tommy. We just love you. That's all, Tommy. You know that. I always try and stop by and give you some love. So, Bronxy's got to go to the park soon. I just wanted to sum up everything we talked about. We talked about Dylan's blanket and jacket. Why do you have blood on those things? And then conveniently claim to have never seen the jacket before. We talked about nobody talking to Murphy when he came out of the house, which was so sad. We talked about the video from the 1112 video where we see the car speeding away, but we didn't really touch on that time. We touched more on Murphy's barking and his bark pattern and what that can mean because it changes and it's different. And then we hear that grrr type of exhaust pull up in a car. And then we don't have any more video after that. But at that time, from 4:22 to 4:30 is the same time that Dylan and Bethany are texting each other and texting the roommates, which is also the same time Dylan says she sees the intruder in her house, which is well after 4:20. So we know that that intruder couldn't have driven that white car, right? So then Murphy's doing this crazy bark, and that's the time that you decide to run down to Bethany's room when Murphy is giving the most crazy bark of trying to alert for danger. No, you didn't. But we talked about it. And then we talked about in the body cam where we see the garbage above and behind the garbage is blurred out, and we're not sure why. I thought maybe a camera was back there and they don't want us to see that, but I don't know why they would be blurring out above and behind the garbage. Only in some angles, though. Only in some angles where you can see the house do they blur little circles. And then in some other angles, they don't blur the garbage at all. So it can't be the garbage. There might possibly be a camera back there, but that's just my opinion because I don't know what's back there yet. But they're blurring it out for a reason. And that's about it. And I let you know that I did FOIA the city for water usage for a week at this house, obviously during the crime, and then a month for this house, so we can see if we get anything back on that. And I'll let you guys know either way if we get a response either way, if we're denied or whatnot, or if we get one. Oh, Vidrios, did you miss it? Okay, let me pull it up really quick before I skedaddle. Where did it go? Doopy doop, doop 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 doop. Let me see if I can pull it up real quick. So, the dumpster across the street, and there's garbage in it, right? Let me share.
Again, okay, so
there we go.
You're probably gonna have to retell the story quite a bit.
That's fine.
All right.
Let me see if I can get a good angle to show you. When this officer walks out of the house,
Start IDing all them.
do you see right there? Let me see if I can make it a little bit bigger. 1 second. Barely. We can barely see. If you look at the dumpster on like the right side where you would think a garbage bag would be, it's blurred and it continues to be blurred. You see? It's blurring it. It's a little tiny circle and it's where you think a garbage bag would be. But it's not the garbage because when they hit it from a different angle, the garbage bags aren't blurred from a different angle. And to me, I was wondering what you guys thought it would be. And I said that maybe is there a camera on that house that they're blurring? And they don't want us to know that there's a camera facing 1112 or 1122. But I can't really tell. I don't know what they would blur that is on the house back there, right in that area. I don't think anyone looked inside the trash. I don't think anybody looked anywhere. Thank you, Moto. Maybe that's where the girls put their shoes. Interesting. Well, but you know what? When they get to another angle of the garbage, they show all the garbage. There's not a blur on the garbage. It's just when you can kind of see behind the garbage and see the house, it's something to do with the house. And that's why I thought maybe it's something on the house like a camera. Yeah, it's actually blurred for sure. And even when you get closer, I'll see if I can get a better view of it. See, as you get closer, they keep blurring, but they're not blurring the garbage. They're blurring something with the house. See how then the garbage covers up whatever's on the house from this angle, and you no longer get the blur. It's covering something up on the house. Not the garbage they're blurring. But I don't see anything right here. Who knows? Maybe the people are covering it up here. There's something to do with that house.
This is one of the. Pretty much they were in the main room. I heard them dancing and laughing.
And then.
Yeah, thanks. Yeah, if that email shows up, that'd be great. Could you grab some blankets? Yeah, 1 second, man. Let me just grab all your guys' info. They're warmer. Okay. I know she was barefoot, so I was hoping to get something.
Oops. See, it's not blurred here.
Okay. And is this your address?
Yes.
What's that address?
1122 King Road.
Is your driver's license right? Yes. Okay. How much have you seen on that?
Not blurred here.
I don't really know. I just saw my friend.
Yeah, it's just at certain angles. It looks like they blur something that's on the house to me. And I thought maybe they're blurring out a camera on the house because they're not blurring the garbage. We can see it perfect right here. It's not blurred. But now that garbage is covering up that part of the house too. So I don't know. I don't know if anybody wants to look into it, but I thought it was interesting. Yeah, I'm really irritated with these two. Really irritated with these two and how they handled everything. Of course, everybody is, but it's just frustrating, especially when you just see it over and over and over. It's like, oh, I can't. Ugh. Like, you guys know, I've been their age. I found my roommate passed away and I didn't do anything that they did. And it wasn't a red rum. It was a self-deletion. But people say, oh, they're college girls. They didn't know what to do. Bullcrap. What you do is you call 911. That's what you do. So, yeah. That's what we got for you today for our live. That's what we got. No, she doesn't sound genuine. The thing that upsets me and makes me, I guess not upset, but irritated is that fake wobbly voice. That only happens naturally when you are trying to hold back tears and you got that frog in your throat, right? There's no tears. Like, it's so annoying to me. Just talk normal. Nobody can understand you when you're talking like that either. So, guys, it's about that time. When I found my roommate, I'll give you a brief description. So it was a self-deletion. I had a dog at the time, not this dog. It was a boxer. His name was Emmett, and it was a roommate. They lived upstairs and I lived downstairs, basically. And my dog was acting weird. So because my dog was acting weird at midnight, I was like, that's weird. My dog doesn't usually run up and down the stairs. So I got up and I looked and I went upstairs and I went to go walk into his room and I saw that it was weird. It was like he was in mid step, but his upper body was laying down on his bed and he was holding something in his hand. And it was just like it was weird. So I looked and he was purple. And at first I thought I'm going to try CPR. You could clearly tell he was deceased, but I was like, let me try CPR. And then I was like, wait, let me go grab my other roommate. And this happens really fast, right? So I go grab my other roommate. They come over to the area. I'm like, let's try and do CPR. I get on the phone with 911. I said, should I try CPR? I didn't because of other reasons. There was something with that area of the face that I couldn't anyway. So that's it. I called 911 and the police came right then and there and that was it. Like, Jesus. That's it. You call, I was what, 19, 18, 19, 20 maybe at max? Like, just because you're young and a college student doesn't mean anything. When something is wrong, you check, you look, you call 911 and you do what you're supposed to do. And the way I talked was how I'm talking right now. Was it upsetting? Yes. But in that moment, I'm like okay, I got to get this done. I got to get this done. Like, I'm not really that emotional type person. I'm like, this needs to be done. This needs to happen. Focus. Let's get it done. Let's do it right. I talk just like I talk right now. And then after that, there was weird things with it, right? Then you sit down and you think about it and you get upset and you talk about it. But there was no wobbly voice for me in that time because things needed to get done. So yeah, that was it. Yep. I'm not sure if I mentioned that I did do FOIAs for water usage on 1122 King Road for that week and for that month. So I'll update you and let you know what they say. It usually takes about 35 days. So we'll see. It might get denied, but hopefully it doesn't. Fingers crossed. All right, guys. Good night, you guys. Do something nice for yourself. Be kind, but more importantly, be kind to your dog or cat or lizard or llama or whatever you have, because you have the rest of the world, but to your animals, you are the world. Corny. Bye, guys. Have a good night, guys. Thank you for being here. I appreciate everybody and all the super stickers and super chats. Thank you so, so much, you guys. Have a great night. And thank you, Bianca, for the member, giving a membership and becoming a member. And thank you for all the mods. Bronx is yelling at me. All right, I got to go, guys. Have a good night.